Hey, great to have you here. So back today with another SH Figuarts Dragon Ball video. And I know I'm a little bit late on this reaction, but wanted to share news of a new Goku figure we got. Of course, another Goku, as always, pretty much. But there's been a lot of hype revolved around this new Goku coming out. So I want to run through some of the images we got and just give my thoughts overall on this new release and just kind of recap things going from there. So let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right into the first photo that we have of him. So this Goku definitely comes across as being the Goku from the Cell Saga. I believe the name we'll get to later, but I believe it's referring to that as well. So definitely referencing that point in the anime overall and that point in the manga. So first shot here, as far as calling out some really unique parts, so we have Goku with an angry face, pretty good paintwork there. And then not much really to call out with the hands. So obviously we get a grip hand and a martial arts hand. The lower body is kind of shown off here though, so that's something to call out. There's definitely some shading with the pants, like it almost looks red in a few areas on the thighs, so definitely a lot of shading seems like it's going on with the lower body, at least, of this Goku. And there's some differences as far as the articulation as well, so we can kind of see the hips look like more of that 3.0 type of mold. There's definitely missing those like hip flaps that are kind of always in the way and just being kind of a nuisance, so different articulation and range of motion we'll probably get with this guy, as well as the knee. So the knee looks more like that Tanjiro if you watch the review I did of that figure, so it kind of looks more of that natural sliding motion that works well with baggy pants. It looks like it works pretty well here with Goku as well, though. So he obviously doesn't have as baggy of pants, but I think the same style is really being used here. So not much to call out beyond that, but that lower body change is definitely something to look out for. This is obviously also a little bit more bulked up Goku, so a little bit larger than some of our standard like Saiyan Raised on Earth or the Full Power Super Saiyan or like the Super Saiyan God, anything like that. Looks like a little bit larger. More like the superhero Gohan body, I would say. So then jumping to the next photo we have here, different faceplate, more of a yelling face. So not a whole lot else to call out in this photo. We obviously get a full view of Goku's body overall, so that's kind of the vantage point of showing of this image. But other than that, we get the fist hand once again, then we get more of the open palm hand there. And yeah, just showing the whole body's viewpoint of things and showing kind of what Goku looks like. Also the shoulder blades, similar to the hips, looks like it doesn't have those kind of plasticky cup little pieces around the shoulder blades that kind of get in the way most often. So it feels like there's a lot more free range of motion for this Goku, which is awesome to see. I feel like we've been waiting to get that more with these newer releases. We've kind of been stuck on the 2.0 mold for some time, so great to see some real changes taking place with this Goku. And then next up, we have Goku with the Kamehameha, back with kind of the teeth-gritting face as far as the faceplate goes, but we have him with his range of motion shown off here with the arms. So doing that Kamehameha pose and also showing off the shading on the pants once again really seems pretty vibrant red in a few different areas. So like to see that tonal changes. Maybe it's a little bit too much in some areas, but overall I feel like it's a nice touch to include there. And his waist overall looks okay. I feel like that piece that they have where his kind of skirt area is looks a little bit goofy. It definitely makes articulation very effective, but in some ways it seems kind of gappy and doesn't really feel like that looks like natural legs. So maybe aesthetically there could be some issues there. We'll have to see with maybe more photos or eventually when we get this guy released. And then we have Goku doing the Kamehameha at the camera at this point. So once again, just really showing off that articulation for the hands and just the ability to get the shoulder blades really in tight, allowing it to get the full extension. Because a lot of times when you did Kamehameha poses, you kind of extended the arms a little bit farther beyond really what they were capable of, or it didn't really have his palms fully touching at the base point of things. So this definitely feels more like a 3.0 figure and more in line with some of the capabilities we should be expecting from these figures. Once again, though, I'm a little bit concerned about that lower body. I think articulation-wise, it'll be awesome, but visually, it feels like a weird kind of like thong-looking piece almost on Goku here. Then next up, this photo, I'm not really sure necessarily the point of this one. It kind of feels like it looks almost airbrushed even, where there's a lot of shading, so maybe that's really what's calling out here, and that there's different shading in the skin tones as well, especially in the chest area. But beyond that, we kind of just have Goku standing there in a pretty standard pose with just a stern face, so different faceplate, but it's not really anything unique here. And then next up, we have Goku doing the very stereotypical kind of smiling face with the big eyes as well. This is typically the look I had for my Full Power Super Saiyan, so we've gotten this kind of faceplate before, but it feels pretty well done here, and obviously the body works, and you have him with Gohan as well, so they really like to show off the ability of having multiple figures as far as having an entire collection of characters, so they're kind of doing that here, encouraging you to pick up this Goku as well as Gohan. The bodies look very similar as well with them, so feels like a fitting companion to have with your Goku as well. So definitely cool inclusion here to have this scene represented. And then finally, the last photo we got was really just a lot of details showing the unique differences that this figure has compared to prior Goku releases. So at the top, we get listed the Games Begin. That's going to be the name for this Super Saiyan Goku. So obviously that's referring to the Cell games. And then they just show off different parts that are really unique to this figure. So the first part is really showing off that shoulder articulation, showing that the ability to get the arms fully pretty much crossed over, as well as have the arm very vertical almost with your upward angle. So a lot of abilities you have to put your Goku in different positions and things like that. Then it calls out the neck. So this one's kind of strange, but it, I guess, makes sense for people that may want it. It has the ability to change the amount of neck that you have showing for Goku. So sometimes you may want to have him where he has kind of more short neck and more bulky looking. And sometimes you may want to have him more kind of standard looking as far as proportions being more reasonable. So it seems like you can manipulate the neck and make it seem like his neck is either shorter or longer. Not sure that's something I necessarily needed, but I guess it's a cool inclusion. Then the waist really calls out the ability to do those articulation moves where him bending backwards and him bending forwards. There's a little bit of gapping when he's bending forwards, but that's kind of expected to take place here. Then it calls out the knees. Once again, I think these knees look pretty similar to the Tanjiro overall, just having that sliding knee that I feel like works really well, and I don't think it looks that gappy as much as people may be concerned about, because it still has that kind of sliding motion where you still have that piece of plastic sticking out, so there's not just nothing there. I think it works pretty well. And then kind of a unique one that I don't feel like has been mentioned enough, but this shin piece, apparently you can bend this shin now. So typically with these figures, where the boot connects to the pants, it's been pretty stiff there, and you can pretty much just typically move the ankle and then move the knee. Anywhere in between there, you're pretty much been locked to what you have with the shin. But it seems like now you can change manipulation of the shin, and you can even have some gapping of the calf area of him kind of moving forward or back in that shin area. Curious to see how that's really going to work, because in some ways that may make the stability of the figure a little bit weaker as far as being able to stand in different poses without it falling over. So I'm curious to see how well that works. But that's kind of that, and the shoulders are really the 2 points they really, I feel like, highlighted in this image. And that's all the photos we got of this Goku. As I said, this last photo kind of highlights, in a general sense, everything that they're making unique about this figure. Definitely bringing a more modern mold. Some people have referred to it as a 3.5. It's definitely at least a 3.0 Goku as far as the changes taking place here. As far as the details we've gotten, the pre-orders are going to open on April 25th, and he's scheduled to be released in October of this year. So, as I said, pre-order starting this week pretty much, and then actual release not coming until the fall time period. So, a little bit of time before this guy comes out, but definitely something to look forward to as far as some variety in Gokus. I know we just got the, lower born Saiyan that's been hitting retail stores that people have been clamoring for. Definitely a lot of cool faceplates with that. Obviously, it's still more of your older body as far as the 2.0 side of things with Goku. So this provides a more unique opportunity looking forward in some different body styles as far as Goku compared to what we've gotten in the past, I would say. We've not gotten a price point for this guy. I've seen a lot of people predict $35 because that's typically the budget figure and there's no extra really accessories included here. I'm a little reluctant to definitely just trust that, because with the new articulation and uniqueness to this figure they're calling out, I could see them warranting a higher price, especially with all the things going on in the trade side of things in the world. So it's not been announced yet. Obviously, 35 is kind of what we come to expect with a standard Goku. So I would say maybe you can kind of assume that, but I would be cautious to fully believe that until we get valid proof of that being the case. This will definitely be an awesome Goku to add, especially if you don't have any previously. I'll say I'm on the fence if I'm going to pick him up personally, just because I have so many Gokus already in the collection. But if I didn't have like the full power Super Saiyan, this Goku looks significantly better, and I would definitely recommend grabbing this guy instead of the prior Super Saiyan Goku that we got, just because this feels like articulation-wise, visual-wise, across the board feels like a much better figure. So definitely one of those situations where waiting may have benefited people, or if you're coming into the collection side of things newly, definitely a good opportunity to grab this guy and add him to your collection. Or if you just grab all the Gokus and all the Dragon Ball figures, also a good reason to pick him up. So as I said, I may wait on it. We'll have to see as it gets closer if it's going to be something of interest to me. Definitely not going to pre-order it just because we've gotten so many Gokus. I don't really need another one, but he's a cool figure, and if you don't have a good Goku, this seems like a great opportunity to pick one up. So what do you guys think? What do you think of the new changes and the direction of things going forward? Do you think they're going to continue sticking with 2.0s in some of the bodies, and this is just some evolution in a different area? Or do you think we're kind of fully out of 2.0s? What are your thoughts just overall with the evolution of the figures we've gotten thus far? So share all your thoughts on that and this Goku down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you again soon.